These are the top 10 sneaker collaborations of 2024. It's top 10 season, and I've got a bunch of great top 10 lists coming your way, so make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet to catch all of the sneaker of the year lists. And of course, if you want to grab any of the sneakers mentioned in today's video or just check the resale prices, I made sure to leave links to all of these shoes through the YouTube shopping tab on your screen. So this list, I'm not gonna lie, was incredibly hard for me to put together because there were so many good collaborations in 2024. And as much as I want to make this list like a top 20, it could probably be a top 40, I wanted to keep it concise and to the point, so we're sticking with the top 10. The top 10 best sneaker collaborations of 2024. Now, of course, like all of my other top 10 videos, the way that I sort of get around this a little bit is by going over some honorable mentions, but in this case, there are so many honorable mentions, I'm just gonna read off the list and show you guys some pictures really quick of the shoes, not really go too into depth because there's so many of them. First off, we've got the Nina Chanel Air Jordan 3s. This shoe is a crazy new take on the Air Jordan 3. It comes in green canvas. You've got this really interesting sort of Chanel detail on the shoe on the Nike swoosh, and the heel tab is incredible. It's my favorite detail on the shoe. Next is the JJJound Asics GT 2160. I believe this collaboration came in two different colorways, a black and a white variation. I personally like the whiter one because it has more color going on in the shoe. You've got silvers and greens and things like that. The black one's a little bit more muted, a little bit more subtle, which is also a good thing. But for me personally, if I'm going to spend as much money as I would have to spend to get this pair of sneakers, I would want people to know that I'm rocking a somewhat expensive pair of shoes, and that might be shallow, but I don't care. I'm a sneakerhead. That being said, it's a very clean collaboration. I love the GT 2160 silhouette a lot, and JJJound consistently kills it no matter what shoe they're collaborating on. Next is the Air Jordan 3 J Balvin Rio. This is the second J Balvin Air Jordan 3 colorway to release. This one is black instead of a tan. Again, I personally prefer the tan one because there's just more color going on that shoe. This black one though is super clean. I love the sunset on the heel of the shoe, and I think the concept is incredible. It's still one of the best Air Jordan 3s to drop this year. It just didn't make my top 10 list. Speaking of Air Jordan 3s that didn't make my top 10 list, we've got the Ma Maniére Air Jordan 3s, a fire pair of sneakers, incredible quality of material, and the story is awesome. But in my opinion, the Air Jordan 3 was not the best of the 6 while you were sleeping sneakers to release on Ma Maniere's 10th anniversary. There's another pair which is actually on the list, which I'll talk about in a couple minutes, that I think is better than this shoe, so this shoe I kept off of the list. That being said, it's still fire, and you can actually get it for well under retail, so if you guys want to check that out, YouTube shopping tab right there. The next honorable mention are the Travis Scott Air Jordan 1 Medium Olive and Travis Scott Air Jordan 1 Elkins High School. Since we've been getting Travis Scott Air Jordan 1s for years at this point, it's kind of hard to put a Travis Scott Air Jordan 1 colorway on the list that's not anything that different from what we've seen before, and while yes, the canary colorway is very different in terms of color, it's not like a complete redo of the shoe. Medium olive colorway, same deal, super clean pair of sneakers, one of my favorite Travises to drop in a while, but it just isn't really anything new or different on the silhouette, so because of that, it's staying off the list. But both of these shoes are probably the most hyped pairs of sneakers in this honorable mention section, and possibly some of the most hyped up pairs of shoes on the entire list. So just because the shoe is hyped doesn't mean it's going to make the top 10 list, but these shoes are both fire, they're both incredibly wearable, and some of my personal favorite releases of the year. I just didn't want to put them on this list. Next were the Cactus Plant Flea Market Air Force 1 Lows. There was a bunch of colorways of this shoe to release. I think my personal favorite was like the purple colorway. I just thought that was a super interesting, unique vibe. It's got the CPFM branding stitched into the upper of the shoe, kind of like an up-tempo. I think that's the style that they're going for there. And it gives the Air Force 1 a much needed makeover in terms of collaborations. Sometimes with Air Force 1 Lows, the collab is just like a different color, which is fine. And a lot of shoes on this list are kind of just that. But this is a very different take on the shoe, and I like it a lot. Actually, let me know in the comment section down below which one of these CPFM Air Force 1 colorways you like the best. Next are the Adidas Wales Bonner collaboration shoes, specifically the Samba. Wales Bonner is an incredible designer. She does some amazing work, and with Adidas, she's been absolutely killing it. This Samba in particular, I really love. It sort of elevates the silhouette above like a standard $100 indoor soccer shoe, and it really makes it a designer piece. I love the materials, I love the colorway. It's fire. I just don't want to pay the resale price. Finally, we get to the Wu-Tang Nike Dunk Highs. So this shoe was really close to making the list, and the reason was because this shoe for a long time was one of those like grails, like one of those $50,000 sneakers that no one could ever get because it was like a friends and family exclusive to the Wu-Tang Clan, and everyone wanted it. And for the last 20 years, it was one of those untouchable legendary sneakers. But as we've seen this year, Nike is re-releasing some of their most classic PEs and sneakers like this that were sort of friends and family releases. And because of that, the hype has kind of died down on this release. That being said, if you're a fan of the Wu-Tang Clan or you like this yellow and black Nike Dunk High, I still think it's an incredibly clean sneaker. And as someone who grew up almost idolizing that sneaker, it was really cool for Nike to bring this shoe back. But it just isn't really anything that different from what we've seen before. So because of that, this shoe shoe did not officially make the list. It's still a fire sneaker, don't hate me in the comments, but I just didn't think it had as much of an impact this year as some of the other sneakers on the list. Really quick though, before we dive into the actual top 10 list, I just want to let you guys know that APTHCRY just dropped our brand new clothing collection. We've got the workwear long sleeve tees, we've got some fire short sleeve tees. All of it's available on APTHCRY.com or through the YouTube shopping tab on your screen. We've got holiday socks, we've got just great everyday socks that match awesome with your sneakers and are incredibly comfortable on foot. Check them all out at APTHCRY.com. End of PSA, into the video. Number 10, the Bad Bunny Adidas Gazelle Indoor San Juan. The Adidas Gazelle has taken 2024 by force. Obviously the Samba is still probably Adidas's most popular silhouette, but the Gazelle is close behind. So it only makes sense that Bad Bunny, the musician, one of Adidas's most prolific collaborators, collaborated on the Adidas Gazelle silhouette. And this first colorway, the San Juan colorway, is one of my favorite Adidas Gazelles to ever release. First of all, the actual shape of the shoe, while it looks like a pair of Adidas Gazelles, probably was made on a different last. It's a significantly wider shoe than the Adidas Gazelle, so in my opinion, it fits a little bit better. Not only that, they've also changed up the mudguard in the shoe to not be that straight line that we're all used to, but this sort of off-center, asymmetrical look, which I really love. Of course, because it's a Bad Bunny collaboration, you've got those Bad Bunny hits like the double tongues. You've also got the size tag on the heel of the shoe, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but I don't hate it. And this particular San Juan colorway, which features San Juan and Adidas printed in gold towards the heel of the shoe, comes in this sort of aquatic blue color. I love the contrast in colors on this shoe. You've got the white on the tongue and on the Adidas 3 stripes. You've got the gray on the eye stays of the sneaker. You've got the bright blue on the upper, and then you've also got the semi-translucent gum outsole, which I think is just super fire. All around, this shoe is so different, and I love it. I'm not usually a huge like Adidas indoor soccer shoe guy, but this shoe made me love indoor Adidas soccer shoes. Like, I like Gazelles now. I like Sambas, shoes that I didn't mind before, but now I actually wear them. Like, I wear this shoe on a regular basis, as well as the Bonito colorway, which is the second colorway of the shoe to drop that came in like sort of a cream white color. Both are fire. But in terms of this top 10 list, this was the first colorway of this collaboration to drop. It's probably the most popular, and it's definitely the most eye-catching. It also, for some reason, came with like an additional super thick insole inside the box. I'm not sure why, but hey, if you want an extra super thick insole that you can replace the old insoles with, I guess to make you taller, I don't know, you can do that. They give you that. I don't know why, but they do. Number 9, the Trophy Room Air Jordan 1 Low Away. So at first glance, you might assume that this is just another black, white, and red Air Jordan 1 Low. And while you wouldn't be totally wrong, when you actually learn the concept behind the sneaker, it makes you appreciate this design a lot more. So first off, this shoe is a collaboration between Trophy Room, the sneaker boutique started by Michael Jordan's son Marcus Jordan, and of course Jordan Brand. And that right there already makes this sneaker special. You've got some Trophy Room hits on the shoe, like the embroidered Trophy Room logo on the lateral side. That's all well and good. But the reason that I like this sneaker so much is that the colorway is actually inspired by the classic Michael Jordan Flea rookie card. Most of the colors and the details on this shoe are taken from that inspiration. I mean, when you look at the card, you look at this shoe, you're like, I see that, I get it. The left shoe features a blue insole, which matches the blue on the card. The right shoe features a yellow insole. I went with yellow laces because I think they contrast the upper of the shoe really nicely. You've got this gold metal hit with the Wings logo on the heel. You've got this very subtle Michael Jordan signature embroidered into the lateral side of the heel. And the materials used on this shoe are so premium feeling. The base layer of the upper is made up of this really nice sort of off-white nubuck. You've got bright red satin used on the mudguard and the eye stays of the sneaker, which yes, does crease in ways that I don't really love, but it looks nice. And then the heel of the shoe comes in this black canvasy denim material. I'm not sure exactly what it is. You've also got an embroidered Nike swoosh, which is different. We've seen it before, but it is different on this shoe. And at first I didn't like it, but the more that I look at this shoe and the more that I wear this shoe, I enjoy the uniqueness of it. I'm not gonna go into packaging about all the sneakers because all of them have pretty unique packaging, but the packaging on this shoe in particular ties in so well with that Flea rookie card storyline. This collaboration in general is just all really well thought out, and it actually makes it my favorite pair of Air Jordan 1 Lows to drop this year. At least collaboration Air Jordan 1 Lows. That's hard to say actually. It's up there. Number 8, the Salehe Bembury Crocs Juniper. So this was actually one of the first, if not the first, Crocs sneaker. And as you would expect from a pair of Crocs sneakers, it's very quirky. It also features a lot of Salehe Bembury's signature details, like his fingerprint on the outsole. Now, although this shoe kind of has a hiking aesthetic, and I think it was marketed as not a hiking shoe, but something that you could wear in the great outdoors, it's definitely the kind of shoe that's made specifically for just everyday usage. Inside the very thick rubber outsole that kind of wraps up onto the midsole, you've got this soft, I'm assuming Croslite foam inside the shoe, which makes it very comfortable underfoot. The upper of the shoe, even though it looks like it could be leather, is actually not. It's a TPU, which makes it much more of a shoe that you could literally hose off if you wanted to. And all around, it's probably one of the most unique shoes on the list. Like, this shoe is wild looking. Every time I wear this shoe, whether it's this colorway or the tahini colorway, which is like white and yellow, people stop me and are like, what are those? But not in the bad way. In like a, those are interesting kind of way. And if that's what you're looking for, you gotta grab this collaboration. Is it my favorite Salehe Bembury collaboration? Probably not, but I do think that this is a really cool new direction for both Salehe and for Crocs, and it's one of the most unique sneakers to drop in 2024. Number 7, the Travis Scott Jumpman Jack. Now apparently renamed to the CJT Rex, the Travis Scott Jumpman Jack is Travis Scott's first original silhouette with Nike. Well, I guess technically Jordan brand, because he is a Jordan brand athlete. Artist, I don't know what to call it. But you can't deny that Travis Scott is absolutely creating his own lane within the sneaker world. I know some people compare him to Kanye West when it comes to Nike collaborations, and I get that, but I really do think he's doing something a little bit different, and in my opinion, something that actually ties in better with our modern sneaker world. He started off doing collaboration colorways on already well-established Air Jordan sneakers, and then he released this, the brand new Travis Scott Jumpman Jack, a shoe which I think had the potential to completely flop because it was sort of like a new version of the Dunk, and people just don't like new versions of classic sneakers, but because they handled the launch of this shoe so well in terms of marketing, the shoe's doing really, really well, and resale-wise, it's killing it. Now sure, in terms of design, the sneaker isn't anything that different or exciting. I do like a lot of the details that went into the shoe, like the overall shape, the strap, the outsole that has the wear away branding. You spray painted the logo on the bottom. Of course it's gonna wear off. But you gotta give credit where credit is due. Travis Scott absolutely killed it with this sneaker. The hype is just there for this shoe. And in my opinion, some of the colorways of these shoes are better than some of the colorways on the Travis Scott Air Jordan 1 lows. My personal favorite colorway of this shoe is the original Mocha and Sail colorway, but they're all pretty clean, they're all very wearable, and they all feature that backwards Nike swoosh, which isn't exclusive to Travis Scott. Other people have done it, but he definitely made it iconic. Not that it's that important, but this could be the least comfortable shoe on the list because it's sort of like an insole and then just the outsole. There's not really much foam in between, so you're kind of walking directly on the ground. So in a lot of ways, it's the least well cushioned underneath your foot, but this is a top 10 list, not a list about things that I wish could be done differently, because a lot of shoes have things that I wish could be done differently, but that was just sort of the biggest glaring problem I had with this shoe, but it's not even that big of an issue. And you gotta give props to Travis Scott and Jordan brand because they handled the release of this shoe really well. I think it had the potential to flop, but they made it a hyped up release and they killed it. Number 6, the Air Jordan 4 Ma Maniére While You Were Sleeping. This shoe is the follow-up to the wildly popular Ma Maniére Air Jordan 4s that released a couple years ago and is part of the 10th anniversary 6 sneaker collaboration between Ma Maniére and Nike. This was the shoe that I was alluding to in the honorable mention portion of the video. I think it's the best of the While You Were Sleeping sneakers. Now, to be fair, all 6 of those shoes were fire, but in my opinion, this one was the one that just kind of took it to the next level. And sure, that might have something to do with the fact that it's an Air Jordan 4 and I really like the Air Jordan 4, but a lot of it really has to do with the materials that were used and the color that was used. This sort of like pale pink ivory colorway is very, very clean and very subtle. It ties in with the theme so well, and I love how different it is for a pair of Air Jordan 4s. Like, you don't see a lot of pairs with this sort of very light pink color. Obviously, because it's an Ma Maniére collaboration, you expect super high quality, and this shoe does not disappoint. You've also got some really nice details like the Ma Maniére branding embroidered into the actual material itself on the back of the tongue. You've got the quilted sock liner, you've got the Nike Air branding on the heel, you've got the really nice suedes, and I believe some other hidden details. I think there's actually writing underneath the insole. All around, an incredibly well thought out collaboration and the best of the 6 While You Were Sleeping sneakers. And it's wild to me that almost all, if not all of the sneakers from that While You Were Sleeping collection are selling for under retail. It doesn't make sense. I think even this shoe, if it's not selling for under retail, it's selling for around retail. Of course, you can check it out through the YouTube shopping tab on your screen, but this is such a fire pair of sneakers that if it had released last year even, I think it would have been like a $500-600 pair of shoes. But for whatever reason, it's not that. I think Jordans just aren't as hyped as they used to be. And I don't know, in my opinion, it's one of the best sneaker releases of the year, not just collaboration. Number 5, the Nigel Sylvester Air Jordan 4 RM. Nigel Sylvester is a professional bike rider who's done multiple collaborations with Jordan brand. However, this year, unlike previous collaborations where Nigel put his name on a pair of standard Jordan sneakers, he was actually involved, I believe, in the design process for the Air Jordan 4 RM. So the Air Jordan 4 RM is a brand new take on the Air Jordan 4. RM stands for Resto Mod, and this is actually an updated version of the shoe specifically made for biking and skateboarding. Now, to be fair, the Air Jordan 4 RM is not specifically Nigel Sylvester's model. There's multiple GR versions of the shoe that are not collaborations that also released this year, but his colorways were the first pairs to release. You had the green Grandma's Driveway colorway and the asphalt colorway. I think they're both fire, and I was debating whether I should put one of these colorways on the list or both. I'm leaning towards both just because they're both kind of similar. The green colorway unfortunately goes for way more money than the black colorway because I just think people like the green better than the black. However, you can check both of the resale prices of these shoes through the YouTube shopping tab on your screen right now. When I got my hands on a pair of Air Jordan 4 RMs, I was blown away by how much I like the shoe. I'll be honest, I didn't expect to like an updated version of the Air Jordan 4. I thought it was going to be another one of those like Team Jordan style sneakers, but instead it ended up being just this really great, not only comfortable but good looking pair of sneakers that has a new cut for the Air Jordan 4, and it makes a lot of sense for people who do like extreme sports like BMXing or skateboarding. And generally, while I think the upper of the shoe is a bit more confined than a standard pair of 4s, I think it's more comfortable than a regular pair of 4s because of how padded the upper is. And hype aside, I think that bike air on the heel of the shoe for the Nigel collaborations makes these shoes pop, and I love that mini Nike swoosh. There's just so many details on the Nigel versions of the shoe that just make it such a great overall sneaker and collaboration. I had to put it on the list. Actually, thinking about it now, this is the highest ranked Air Jordan collaboration on my list. A team style version of a classic silhouette is higher than any other pair of Jordan collaborations on my list. That was not on my bingo card for 2024, but they killed it with this collab. Number 4, the Asics GT 2160 Kith Marvel Villain Spiderman Venom Battle Spectra Pack. Now unfortunately, I don't have a pair of these or pairs of these to show you guys because I could not get them when they were released, and then I didn't want to spend like $700 to get them for resale, but this is a fire collaboration and it definitely deserves to be on this list. 2024 in a lot of ways has been the year of Asics, and this triple collaboration between Asics, Kith, and Marvel just continues to prove that. This Asics GT 2160 pack comes with 2 different pairs of sneakers themed after Spider-Man and Venom, and what I love about this collaboration in particular is not just the shoe itself. The 2160 is an awesome pair of sneakers that not only looks good but is incredibly comfortable on foot, but the fact that this collaboration is very, very subtle. Obviously, you've got some Marvel and some Kith hits, but overall, the design of this shoe is just based on the colors of the characters. The Spider-Man pair comes with a gradient on the upper from white to red to blue. The Venom pair comes in a gradient from blue to black, and they both are much more subtle than I honestly would have expected them to be. And that in turn makes them significantly more wearable, and I also love the fact that this is one of those if you know type sneakers. If you're a fan of Marvel, if you're a fan of Kith or Asics, and you love sneakers, you'll probably recognize these when you see someone wearing them in the mall or on the road or wherever. However, for people who don't know anything about this particular collaboration, you would have no idea that this is a Spider-Man or Venom collab. I think this is an excellent example of an incredibly well done licensed / collaboration. Like, I'm not personally a huge Spider-Man or Marvel fan. Don't hate me. I really do like them. I'm just not like going out of my way to like watch all the movies. I haven't seen all the movies. I've seen like the Tobey Maguire movies, but that's it. Sorry, I know you guys are gonna hate me in the comments, but this is a pair of sneakers that I would wear not just because of the hype, but because I think it looks really good. Number 3, the New Balance 1906R Action Bronson Rosewater. The New Balance 1906R has been one of the most popular sneakers of 2024, and I think Action Bronson has a lot to do with that. If you didn't know, which I'm sure you already do, Action Bronson's a musician, and his sneaker collaborations with New Balance have been absolutely amazing, but this one in particular is by far my favorite. This shoe takes the New Balance 1906R, a shoe that was originally released decades ago but was revamped for the 2020s, and revamps it even more. A majority of the upper is covered in this light green mesh. You've got pink hits in the midfoot panel and on the tongue, and then over top of that, instead of your standard TPU overlays, you've got these clear heat pressed overlays. So you still get some of the shapes of the overlays in the upper of the shoe without actually having the overlays, and what's cool about this is that it actually simplifies the upper and allows Action Bronson to go crazy with the colors. Speaking of the colors, the New Balance logo comes in multiple shades of blue. You've got pinks on the heel counter of the shoe, you've got an orange midsole, purple towards the toe, red and blue on the outsole, green laces, a pink tongue which I already mentioned, and of course the baklava branding on the top of the tongue. This is such a cool modern take on a sneaker that was already sort of a modern take on a classic sneaker, and I really love what Action Bronson did here. The colorways are different and unique. I love how colorful this shoe is, and it really fits in with this sort of 2024 trend of being very colorful when it comes to sneakers. In fact, the runner that we're about to talk about next is even more colorful than this. Can you guess what it is? Let me know in the comments. Number 2, the Saucony Pro Grid Omni 9 J-Tips to-do list. J-Tips has exploded into the sneaker collaboration world this year with some of the best collaborations of the year. In particular, the Saucony Pro Grid Omni 9 to-do list. There are a lot of reasons why this shoe being on so many people's top 10 lists for the year is a big deal. First of all, this shoe is a collaboration between a brand and an artist who people definitely knew about, who people were fans of, but didn't really have that sort of mainstream hype that a lot of these other collaborations have. Saucony is a brand that's been around forever, everyone knows about it, and they've had some really great notable collaborations, but generally, they haven't really broke into the hypebeast market. J-Tips on the other side of the collaboration is a musician and an artist who's pretty well known around the Bronx where he grew up and sort of in the East Coast area, but this collaboration blew up for both J-Tips and Saucony in a way that I don't think anyone expected. Now, like I mentioned before, this is not J-Tips' first collaboration with Saucony. He had a pair that I believe released at the end of last year that also was incredibly well received. He also just released a pair at ComplexCon, and there's some other collaborations in between, but this is my personal favorite out of everything that he's released, and I think it's also one of the most popular pairs. First of all, the Pro Grid Omni 9 is just a good silhouette overall. It's comfortable, it's good looking, but what J-Tips did to this collaboration just takes it to the next level. You've got this wild mix of tans and pinks with some hits of blues and greens and reds that you wouldn't think would look good on a sneaker, but when you see it the way that he's got it all laid out, it just ties in so nicely. I'll be honest, up until last year, I wasn't too familiar with J-Tips, but man, J-Tips is out here, he's killing it, and I should have taken notice sooner because the dude's work is awesome. So the name of this collaboration is To-Do List, and the idea is that you're supposed to wear this shoe and be comfortable while you're completing your to-do list. And what I love about this shoe is that in addition to all of the crazy materials and colors, you've also got some really nice hidden details like J-Tips' logo, you've got Savior, you've got his flower logo. On the insole it says comfortable shoes, and there's a lot of like icons and logos that I don't know exactly what they mean, but I'm sure they tie in with this collaboration. All around, it's just such a well thought out shoe. The material usage is awesome, the color usage is awesome. I love it, and I'm really excited to see how this J-Tips Saucony collaboration continues to grow over the next couple years. Number 1, the Nike SB Dunk Low Futura Laboratories Bleached Aqua. This shoe is my favorite pair of Nike SB Dunk Lows to drop in the last 5 years. And I mean, think about the releases in the last 5 years. There's been some bangers, but this shoe, in my opinion, is the best. To fill you in on a little bit of history around Futura Laboratories was started by the artist Futura, and over the last 20 plus years, Futura has been collaborating with Nike on pairs of Nike SBs. And these aren't like run-of-the-mill sneaker collaborations. These are iconic sneaker collabs that have ended up being some of the most sought after and rare pairs of Nike SBs ever. Most recently, we had the triple collaboration between Futura Laboratories Off-White and Nike on the Nike Dunk Low Futura Off-White. And those shoes obviously were special because they released after Virgil's passing and they were incredibly limited, but if you look at the design of those sneakers, they are absolutely fire. And as I'm sure you know, that collaboration was one of the most limited collaborations of all time and resold through Sotheby's for like 20 grand to 40 grand depending on the size. Talk about rare collaborations. But for the first time in a long time, Futura is once again collaborating through his brand Futura Laboratories on a pair of Nike SB Dunk Lows, and it's much more available than many of his other collaborations in the past. And in my opinion, it's one of his best collaborations he's ever done. This pair of Nike SB Dunk Lows comes in what seems to be a white ballistic nylon upper overlaid by canvas. Now usually I'm not a fan of canvas sneakers, especially when I spend like $300 to $400 for a pair on the resale market, but in this case, it makes a lot of sense. Futura is an artist, he's a painter, and the upper of this shoe essentially is painted on canvas. Now obviously in this case, the design is actually printed on the shoe because Futura couldn't paint every single pair of these it ever released, but it gives it that very cool sort of painting feel. And personally, I love the color palette used on this shoe. It released back in May, which is the summer, and this is like the perfect pair of summer Nike SB Dunk Lows. You've got aquas, you've got light blues, you've got oranges, you've got yellows, you've got bright red hits on this like metal eyelet right there, which is super cool. This isn't two sets of laces, this is one lace. It comes in two different colors. You've got this yellow stitching detail on the medial side of only the right shoe, which I think is super interesting, and the entire look is rounded off by Futura's logo on the heel of the lateral side and the Futura Laboratories logo on the heel of the medial side. And as someone who's been a fan of Nike SB Dunk Lows for years, having a pair of Nike SB Dunk Lows with the FL on the heel is crazy. When I see that logo, I think of sneakers like the Flams, a pair of shoes that I'll never have, but a pair of shoes that I've always wanted. Recently, Nike's been bringing back a lot of their iconic collaborations and PEs. We just talked about the Wu-Tang Dunks earlier on in the video, and as great as that is, usually the pairs that are released to the general public are just not as good as the original pairs. But in this case, not only are you getting a Futura collaboration, but you're getting a pair of sneakers that stand on their own. Like even if this wasn't a collab, this would be a really clean pair of Nike SB Dunk Lows. The colorway is just fire. So for me, this pair is not only my favorite collaboration of the year, but probably my favorite collaboration of the last couple years. As a sneakerhead and someone who grew up loving Nike SB Dunk Lows, a lot of which I just couldn't get because they were so crazy expensive, being able to own a pair like this is really cool. If you made it to this point in the video, let me know in the comment section down below what your favorite sneaker collaboration of 2024 is. As always, thanks so much for watching. Hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you all in the next one.